Greetings, mortal. In news that has shocked precisely nobody who has spent more than 5 minutes observing the rhythms of online gaming discourse, Jonathan Blow, the reclusive genius behind Braid and The Witness, has once again found himself at the center of a rather spirited kerfuffle. His new game, the ambitiously titled Order of the Sinking Star, was unveiled to the world in December with all the fanfare one might expect for a project 10 years in the making. And yet, scarcely had the trailer finished before certain corners of the internet descended into the familiar ritual of hand-wringing, boycott threats, and earnest declarations that one simply cannot separate the art from the artist. One does wonder, at times, whether these episodes are scripted in advance. The game itself sounds, on paper at least, rather splendid, if you happen to enjoy having your brain gently folded into origami by fiendishly clever puzzles. A Sokoban-style adventure on a truly gargantuan scale, it promises over 1,000 handcrafted levels, an overworld of continental proportions, multiple playable characters, each with their own idiosyncratic abilities, and enough interwoven mechanics to make a Rubik's Cube feel like a child's toy. Blow, ever the perfectionist, has spent the better part of a decade not merely designing puzzles but also inventing his own programming language and game engine, because apparently using existing tools is for lesser mortals. Estimates suggest the game could consume anywhere from 250 to 500 hours of one's life, depending on how thoroughly one wishes to explore its depths. A completionist, one imagines, might emerge blinking into the sunlight sometime around 2028, muttering about block-pushing theorems and wondering where the years went. Visually, the game presents a charming isometric fantasy realm, floating islands, ancient ruins, rather menacing dragons breathing fire across precarious gaps, all rendered in a clean, colorful style that evokes a storybook come to life. One screenshot shows a knight shielding companions from a fiery blast, another depicts a wizard contemplating an elaborate contraption under stained glass windows. It looks, in short, like the sort of thing that would delight anyone who found The Witness's serene island a touch too austere. Alas, delight has been in rather short supply in certain quarters. The controversy, for there is always a controversy, stems from Mr. Blow's well-documented tendency to express opinions on matters beyond game design. Over the years, he has been known to critique various sacred cows of modern progressive thought, from diversity initiatives in tech to certain cultural shifts in the industry. These views, often aired on social media with the bluntness of a man who has spent a decade speaking primarily to compilers, have long marked him as a polarizing figure. Some admire his unwillingness to conform, others find his position somewhere between regrettable and outright deplorable. When Order of the Sinking Star was announced, the old fault lines reopened with predictable efficiency. Within hours, threads appeared declaring the game tainted by association. Calls for boycott circulated. A few developers reportedly expressed discomfort working in proximity to the project, though given Blow's small, tightly knit studio Thekla, one suspects the proximity was rather literal. Even the publisher, Arc Games, found itself obliged to issue a statement affirming their commitment to the title while carefully navigating the minefield of public sentiment. One particularly memorable online missive proclaimed, "I love The Witness, but I can't support this." Another countered, "It's a puzzle game about pushing boxes, not a political manifesto." Both takes received thousands of likes, naturally, from their respective echo chambers. It is all terribly familiar. Gaming, that most enlightened of cultural spheres, has developed a peculiar habit of treating its creators as moral exemplars first and artists second. One wrong opinion, or even an opinion deemed wrong by sufficient volume, and suddenly a decade's labor becomes radioactive. Never mind that Blow's games have never proselytized, they are resolutely apolitical, concerned chiefly with making players feel simultaneously clever and utterly stupid as they wrestle with environmental logic puzzles. Yet here we are, months later, still debating whether one may ethically enjoy pushing colored blocks around floating islands if the fellow who designed them once tweeted something unapproved. Blow himself has remained characteristically stoical, offering only occasional clarifications that tend to pour petrol rather than water on proceedings. His supporters point to his undeniable talent and the purity of his design philosophy, a rare voice insisting games can be art without requiring explosions every 30 seconds. His detractors insist talent does not excuse wrongdoing, whatever that wrongdoing may precisely be. Meanwhile, the game soldiers on toward its 2026 release, puzzles meticulously polished, mechanics intricately layered. One suspects that when it finally arrives, a great many who swore eternal boycott will quietly add it to their Steam wishlists, play it in incognito mode, or simply wait for a generous sale. Such is the iron law of these controversies. The outrage burns bright but brief, while good games endure. In the end, perhaps the true puzzle is not how to navigate Order of the Sinking Stars' labyrinthine levels, but how an industry ostensibly dedicated to imagination and playfulness remains so reliably incapable of extending either to those who deviate from approved opinion. One rather suspects Jonathan Blow finds the whole affair mildly amusing, or perhaps simply another distraction from the important business of making blocks go exactly where he wants them to. This is your humble servant the Nerd Reaper, and I put the grim gaming takes in the bag.